Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. On April 20th, 2017, a busy day of news headlines, one of the top stories was the end of the ongoing media narrative of the Tennessee teacher who ran off with his 15-year-old student. They said the young girl's name was Elizabeth Thomas, and they said the teacher was Tad, which means little, a tiny bit, Cummins. A little bit of Cummins. So look at these headlines. CNN gives us the day after the news story ends. It ended April 20th. The next day, April 21st. CNN's top story. Cash. One-bed motel rooms. Cialis refills. The headline implies that this guy's been on a sex adventure with his 15-year-old student. The headlines were that they were hiding out probably in the southeast for the past few weeks, and then they found him in California on the west coast in Cecilville, which we'll get to. This whole story is a manufactured media hoax. There's no Tad Cummins, and there's no Elizabeth Thomas. All of these stories are manufactured propaganda with willing actors, willing participants. Don't ask me where these people come from. That's a whole nother can of worms. But what I can show you is the definitive proof of how these false narratives are created to program the minds of Americans. And as we know, in our society, we're programmed nonstop with sex and violence. This is a story 100% centered on sex. The old teacher needs his Cialis pills to get it up, runs off with his 15-year-old student, missing for more than a month and a half. They ran away apparently March 13th. We'll get to why that date's so interesting. And then the story ended, the teacher caught April 20th. That name Cialis, that has a cultural reference to the song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, about the pills mother give you, they don't do anything, but you get the right ones, your friend right next to you, they'll be looking 10 feet tall. So there's a little joke in the name Cialis from these pharmaceutical companies. Cialis is about getting the good stuff. And here's this, erection medicine for old men. I don't think it's Cialis, though, that has the proper commercial. Viagra, their commercials that they've ran for over a decade now. For you younger people, before George W. Bush was the president, there was no pharmaceutical advertising allowed on television. They could advertise cough syrup, runny nose, that type of stuff, but no pharmaceuticals that you had to get through your doctor. That changed with George W. Bush, and right after that came the Viagra ads, and Viagra's always said the same thing in their ad. Call your doctor if your erection lasts more than 4 hours. That's the major selling point of that commercial for almost all men. And that's why that warning is really in there. But anyway, this whole story, it's propaganda. Cialis might even be a part sponsor of this propaganda story, free advertising. How many perverted men today are thinking about, maybe I should get some Cialis pills. What's my 15-year-old on the block doing? A lot of sick, perverted minds in this nation, and it's because we live in this sick, perverted nation controlled by Zionist Masonic filth that does this on purpose, to keep people in a certain mental state. That programmed state, over-sexualized, craving violence, got to watch the next explosion on TV, got to shoot the next bad guy in the video game. And sadly, all this sexual programming, for the majority of the public, people honestly aren't getting enough sex to be, satisfied as human adults. And I'm not talking to you young people, but I'm talking about the grown adults in this nation. For you young people, it's always better to wait. Sex is fun, but it opens up the door to a lot of problems. And you don't want to be having any children when you can't support them. Anyway, this little Cialis narrative, I just want to, this is just a side point. This is the least relevant thing I'm going to show in Gematria, but it's interesting. This story ended on the 110th day of the year, right? We all know the story about Alice in Wonderland and Jefferson Airplane song, White Rabbit. If you don't know that song, Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit, I'll link it in the description. It's all about drugs. 60s song, classic. Anyway, Wonderland has gematria of 110. This story ended on the 110th day of the year. The little Cialis reference. Alice has gematria of 33. You know, April 20th is also the marijuana holiday, and I don't want to compare marijuana to pharmaceuticals because marijuana comes from the earth, has a million different treatments, is good for mankind, and by government, you're told it's bad, it's evil. Don't use that marijuana. Come get these man-made pills over here that'll kill you. You know, they're more deadly for you than what they're treating. And of course, in the U.S. right now, we're seeing, you know, some states turn the tide on marijuana, but be careful. GMO companies taking over the weed industry. Pretty soon we'll have the pharmaceutical weed. But anyway, Alice, it has that familiar 33 gematria, also 47 like Wonderland. In this story, it was Elizabeth who was off with the teacher who was seeing Alice, and they were caught in Cecilville. And if you're new to my channel, we talk about this gematria language. This is video number 2,300 and something. If you watch video number 1, I said the numbers you want to learn are 33, 47, 74. They're coded into every propaganda story that is manufactured in this news, and they're coded all over this story, as we'll get to. So Elizabeth, found with the teacher in Cecilville, 47, very special number to Freemasonry, 47 degrees on their compass symbol. If you're new here, check out my work. We talk about 47 all the time. Again, every single video I've ever made, I've talked about 47. That headline up here, cash, one-bed motel rooms, Cialis refills. In gematria, that sums to 132, just like United States of America, propaganda for the nation, programming for the nation, more sexual stimulation, more perverted fantasy, more reminders to go get your pharmaceutical pills. Tad Cummins, you know, this is what I looked at. From September 11th up until I was 30 years old when I discovered gematria, I just always saw how ridiculous the news was, how it was mocking us, lying to us, making up characters. I mean, September 11th, 2001, you really had to be asleep or blind to not see what was done. You know, demolition of towers, blamed on a boogeyman. They told you they couldn't find the planes. They couldn't find the bodies. They couldn't find the luggage, but somehow they found the box cutter knives, the paper passports, and the cloth turbans. A racist stereotype. You know, and everyone just swallowed that up. And I was 18 and I said, man, they must think I'm stupid. Maybe everybody else around me is stupid and falling for this, but I'm certainly not stupid. And I just paid attention to this news ever since. And you just see these bizarre stories they put out, the ridiculous names, the Dylan Storm Roofs, you know, the Tad Cummins. You pay attention, these names, again and again. Stevie Steve on Easter Sunday. Robert Godwin on Easter Sunday. They said Robert Godwin taught his sons and daughters to love and fear God. Killed on Easter Sunday, age 74. You know, Jesus 74, Cross 74, Masonic 74. Gets used again and again. Dylan Stormroof 74, White Supremacist 74. They code the same numbers into all this propaganda is the point. And we'll see how they coded it into Tad Cummins too. But just understand, Tad a little bit of Cummins with his, you know, Cialis pills. Think about how they always make fun of Donald Trump and his small hands. When Donald Trump was running for president, he got into a debate argument with Marco Rubio about who had bigger hands and who had, you know, a bigger unit in their pants. That happened at the debate in Detroit. It's unreal what we're living out right now. You know, right after that, it came out that Donald Trump said he was the pussy grabber. You could just grab any woman he wanted, grope any woman he wanted because he was a celebrity. Talk more about that in a moment. But anyhow, you know, Donald Trump, the little hands, the insecurity, the pervertedness. I think there's a parallel here. You know, this propaganda news coming in the time of this new, you know, perverted man is the leader of the free world, they tell us. Anything but free here. You know, this is a slave state, a propaganda state, a police state, a military state. But just notice the overlap between Tad and Trump. This story began in March 13th. It ended April 20th, the 110th day of the year, Adolf Hitler's birthday. Adolf Hitler was president of Germany, President 110, Adolf Hitler 110, April 20th 110. Hitler published his most memorable book, Mein Kampf, on July 18th, the same day that Donald Trump's convention began. Talk more about it. Anyhow, there's a relationship between perverted and 110. If you write out 110, if you write out perverted, they both sum to 113. Number of mainstream deception, coded again and again, on purpose, as a trademark. 110th day of the year, the story of perversion comes to an end. Mainstream 113, dishonest 113, not true 113, not honest 113, not factual 113, disinfo 113, perjury 113, fiction 113, bullshit 113. Watch the movie Network from 1976 about the news and how it was going to be taken over by full-time manufactured propaganda to entertain people, to gain viewership, to gain interest. 1976, Hollywood film. They told us just what they do. Again, the same people who control your nightly news are the same people who control Hollywood, your government, the money supply, the Zionist Jews, the Freemasons on top. Remember, in the Talmud, the Jewish text, Baba Kama 113a, Zionist Jews control your media. Jewish text, Jews may use lies to circumvent a Gentile, which is somebody who's not Jewish. Things of Deception, Green Screen 113, George Lucas 113, Master of the Green Screen. His first film is THX 1138. Look this up in history. I have 2 videos on this. Piltdown Man. Piltdown Man was taught in academia for 41 years of proof of evolution, proof of Darwin's theory. Piltdown Man was supposedly discovered in the United Kingdom, the same place they discovered the first dinosaur bones, supposedly. Piltdown Man was supposed to be proof of evolution and that white people were the superior race because that's where man originally evolved from. And Piltdown Man was taught as scientific fact for 41 years. Piltdown the small way equals 41. So does mainstream. A lot of these 113 words, the small way, are 41. The lie of Piltdown Man lasted for 41 years, but another 113, number of deception. And Piltdown Man was admitted to be a fraud contrived by dishonest scientists who put together different fossils to create something that looked like a man. You know, this has been done in the past, it's done in the present. How many people are going to school and open up their history book and learning complete bullshit as if it's fact? Oh, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and then he found the land where the Indian lived, and he discovered it. I mean, how does that even make sense? That's the same type of stuff they've taught us our whole life. A man discovered a land where other people already lived? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Osama bin Laden from his cave in Afghanistan, undermined, out-chest-matched the multi-trillion-dollar defense system of the U.S. government. The stuff is all high fiction. The whole O.J. Simpson trial is a complete farce. Nobody was murdered. It's all a joke. They had his wife there with her hair dyed in the audience mocking everyone. O.J. Simpson, Ron Goldman, 113. Remember, O.J. Simpson was just in Naked Gun 33 1/3 right before this began. The name Simpson alone's 33. The murder date, 33 numerology. Again, the Masons love their 33. The word believe is 33, and they want us to believe all their lies. You never seen my work on Princess Diana? Just before we get more into Tad Cummins, everybody loves a little Princess Di, right? Did you know that Princess Diana died 132 days from the Queen's birthday? And Princess Diana equals 132, just like England, just like United States of America. 2 nations, never truly separated. Both controlled by the New World Order, which is an old world order, which is a Masonic Zionist world order. Princess Diana, where she also died, was in a place with a whole lot of 113 gematria, a tunnel with a 113 name, just like the word princess. One of the big stories of the decade, the death of Princess Diana, which is a complete lie and fiction as it's told. It was right after there was the whole divorce saga, you know. It's easy to see what was going on. Either she was ritualistically killed or she faked her death so she could escape and the whole story could go away. Now all people remember is the death instead of what would have been the messy divorce affair scandal, as people say, was coming. But again, just in case you're new here, your media, it's always contriving news by the numbers. This is an old world Masonic Jewish practice. It's going on all the time. When you see your media emphasize words like this, glad this is over, there's always coding in it. I'm going to link the Gematrinator calculator. You just come here and play around. It won't take long to figure out what's going on or who's running the show. You know? United States of America has gematria of 84. You see? Just like Masonry, just like Zionism. Special number. Number we talk about a lot. Read George Orwell's 1984. It's about a nation a lot like ours. So anyway, here's Tad Cummins, supposedly born July 1st, 1966. He's 50 years old. Again, America, 50 states and a million territories. America equals 50. Notice the 139, nation founded by Freemasons, Freemasonry 139. Freemasonry based in Jewish history, Jewish state equals 139, just like Jerusalem. America is New Jerusalem. If you watch that show Westworld, understand that show is trying to clue us in about our existence here in America. You know, people created for a purpose that is not of their own interest. So anyway, Tad Cummins, his birthday, date with 93 numerology, number for propaganda, propaganda 93, number that represents Saturn, the keeper of time and judgment. This story came on specific dates at a specific time, a specific ritual, you know, just reminding us about the very sick world we live in that grows sicker by the day. You know, in 2001, the world needed to be helped. We've gone way further off the cliff since 2001 in all directions. Just everything's become more perverted about this society. Look at what little girls dress up in now. And it's not the little kids' fault. They don't know. They're just growing up in this world. It's just normal to them. But, you know, the little girls, they got the shorts that are all up their ass already. It's just like, and that's just how the clothes are made in the store. The world is run by perverts, and, you know, you got to be blind not to see it. That's what this whole story's about. You know, getting the girls younger and younger to dress in sexier and sexier clothes. You got 12-year-olds in truly what are sexy clothes. I mean, just look at how it all comes together, though. Then Tad Cummins. A little bit of Cummins in the pants for so many perverted men over this, you know. And we all know that this is the way it is. I was in a university where I had a sociology professor. You know, I was 19 then. He used to boast in front of all of us, he's probably in his 40s, about how many students he'd slept with. He just thought that that was so cool to just, you know, blurt out, you know, in the middle of his lectures sometimes about just... And, you know, at the college level, the students are of age, but, I mean, it's not a big difference between college and young, you know, older professor and young college student, senior in high school. I mean, 15 to 19, you got, like, the same sexual mind and functionality for the most part. You know what I mean? This is a story of a 15-year-old girl running off with a man. The point is, I'm just making, you know, a lot of people in this world, there's probably a lot of teachers and students, you know, doing things they shouldn't be doing. So this kind of propaganda, it's also a message to all those people, you know. This propaganda serves a lot of purposes. But also, here we see the number 74 in his birth numerology. 74, Masonic 74, always paired with 33. In numerology, 33 is the master teacher number. Teacher has the gematria of 33. From the date of this ending to his upcoming July 1st birthday, 72 days. It's interesting that it was April 20th, which has gematria of 72, just like Hitler. We saw the death of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s father on this day at age 72. See my video on that. There's a few more things to 72. Cuba Gooding Sr., a name with 72 gematria. This name, Tad Cummins, completely contrived, also has gematria of 117, like Central Intelligence Agency, like the United States of America. We've seen 117 coded next to Trump propaganda all year. Understand the CIA. It's about controlling the mind's eye of the masses. When you write out 13, it sums to 117. Think about the U.S., beginning with 13 colonies, 13 stripes. CIA, 13. This story, they ran away together March 13th, 2017, which was a date with 33 numerology. A date that can be written 13/3, like 133. Donald Trump makes his 133rd appearance on Fox tonight. These headlines were from back when Trump was running. I have older videos saying, if Trump becomes president, remember these headlines. Trump 133rd richest in nation. This is 2015. I have videos going back to then, saying if Trump becomes president, remember these headlines. President 133, White House 133, government 133. It's all a puppet show we're living out, and it's all coded in front of our eyes by the numbers. If you know gematria, you can see why the media is making stories about this. Was there ever a story about Donald Trump making his 132nd or 131st or any other number appearance? Not that I was aware of, but they did make a big deal about 133 while he was running for president, you see? And now we get this story about Tad Cummins while the time Donald Trump Little Hands is in the White House, Mr. Insecurity, Mr. Groper. So they were busted in Cecilville, California, CC33, where they caught the teacher. Cecilville connects to Elizabeth, the name of the girl. Cummins, the name of the teacher, The date that they were busted, date was 61 numerology. If you saw the work I did from April 20th, there's a lot of connections to 61 in the date, but notice it also even connects to Cecilville where they were caught. More proof of how the news is manufactured by the numbers. And for anyone who thinks this is a coincidence, understand I have over 2,000 videos just doing this to every news story. And I don't need to cherry pick or do anything. I just need to decode the key elements of the story, the person, the place, the location, the date. And it always lines up this way. This is the way your news is manufactured every day. Undeniable. With regards to them saying the girl's 15, 15 has gematria of 38, and it ended 38 days later. Real quick, the date it began, March 13th, that date can also be written 3/13 as we write in the U.S. 313 is the 65th prime number. Elizabeth Thomas, gematria of 65. Also like 15, her age. Kidnapping has gematria of 56, the reflection. It was a 50-year-old teacher and a 15-year-old student added together, 65. Again, began March 13th, 313, the 65th prime. Manufactured every time. Here's something else I thought was interesting. The name Elizabeth also has gematria of 88. 420 is the, weed smoking holiday, Hitler's birthday. They were caught in California, gematria of 88 like Elizabeth. Marijuana, gematria of 88 like Elizabeth. 420, the weed holiday. If you look up the story of where 420 originates from, it's supposedly a group of influential teenagers out of California that called themselves the Waldos. Waldos, 88 like marijuana. The name Trump equals 88. Donald Trump nominated, or not nominated, Neil Gorsuch was made the Supreme Court Justice on April 7th. 4/7, kind of like 47, Judge 47, Gavel 47, Obey 47, Authority 47, President 47, special number, Government 47, White House 47, really special number. On 4/7, they made Neil Gorsuch the 9th Supreme Court Justice. That was 420 days from the death of Antonin Scalia, and it really makes me wonder if there's going to be a big ruling on marijuana. A story like this, as dumb as it seems, might even be part of the predictive programming from it. Marijuana legalization was really pushed for in California. It first happened in Washington State, which is the 42nd state. Think about hemp 42, just like Freemason back in the day, George Washington, the 33rd degree Freemason, which Washington State's named after. He used to grow his hemp with his slaves. Check out the name George Washington. 88 like marijuana too. And let me see if I spell his name right. If you look it up, let's see. No, that's not right. Or wait, no, that is right. It's John Hickenlooper. John Hickenlooper was the governor of Colorado when they legalized weed. Colorado's the 38th state. There's a 38 coded in this story. But anyway, Washington's the 42nd state. Colorado's the 38th. The first two states to legalize marijuana. Both states have the 88 connection like marijuana. The governor of Colorado, John Hickenlooper, and then George Washington, what Washington state's named after, the 42nd state. You follow me? Also, with regards to Hitler and marijuana sharing April 20th, Mein Kampf, the Hitler text, 88, Donald Trump signed the Muslim ban against the 7 countries for the first time on the date that was Holocaust Remembrance Day. Think about it. But look at this. The Waldos who made 420 the marijuana code, 420 gematria of 88. How perfect. And all this story, all these stories and narratives coming together with the same number. Elizabeth on 420. Also, from the day that they first kissed, it's reported that the teacher and student kissed on January 23rd. From that day to April 20th, 88 days. Also, 2 months and 29 days. The number 229 is the 50th prime. Like America. Also like Donald. Donald's 50, just like America. You see? Where the story ended, Cecilville, California, the 41st parallel, the 123rd meridian. Conspiracy 123, they supposedly kissed on 1/23. The reason we're programmed to hate the word conspiracy, as most Americans do, they hear that word and they just turn off. They're like, oh, I'm not into conspiracy, I don't listen to that, is because your world's always been run by conspiracy and, they want you to dismiss it. They want people to dismiss the word conspiracy in an instant. There's this old episode called The Man, the Myth, the Viagra from Sex and the City. It's Donald Trump. And what the episode's about is, can a 70-year-old man still get it up? And Donald Trump's in that episode. Donald Trump became president at 70. He's guest stars in this episode. A lot of TV shows that Donald Trump was in seem to be predictive of his future presidency. Here's an episode where it's a Dennis Leary sitcom. He's out to date with a woman. And Donald Trump walks in the room and they're like, oh my God, Donald Trump's here? And he walks up to their table and he looks at Dennis Leary and then he looks at the woman and he asks her. He asks Dennis Leary, are you having sex with this woman? And Dennis Leary goes, what? No, this is our first date. And Donald Trump goes, oh, in that case, and he just goes right in for the kiss. Just kisses her instantly. Kind of like his groping. He can do anything he wants, going for the kiss on any woman. This is from a sitcom. March 21st, 2001. What are the odds? What are the odds there was a sitcom episode just like what he explained to Billy Bush, on the bus, and that aired 33 days before the election or selection? But it's everything. There's just so much predictive programming from Donald Trump and sitcoms way before he was the president. Suddenly, Susan, our next president. This also aired on the episode May 8th, where Donald Trump's the president. May 8th, written 5/8. Donald Trump won the 58th presidential election. You see what I mean? This is from 1997. 97's the 25th prime, Trump 25. Trump announced his campaign for presidency from the 58-story tower, Freemasonry 58, Secret Society, Lady Gaga the day after the selection, protesting Lady Gaga 58. It's all a joke. But anyway, I'll link all these posts. Go through this TV one. There's just so much here. There's so many things. Commercials. Here's from 2010. Donald Trump talking to sheep with 11 and 9 on him. He was announced as the president early in the morning of November 9th. On the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall 45. Trump the 45th president. I forget, there was one other thing about 45 that I wanted to tell you. Here, if I go back fast enough, it'll probably come up on the calculator. Bear with me a second, see if I can pull it up here. Can't remember what it was. Something about 45. Let's see. I typed in a lot of words. I didn't realize I typed in that many words. Let's see. Oh, that's what it was. I'm glad we waited. Wag the Dog has gematria 45, like Trump being the 45th president. If you've never seen this film, Wag the Dog, it starts with the president having sex, or news of the president having sex with a very young underage girl. She's supposed to be in the Girl Scouts, so imagine how young that would be. And what Trump's, or the president's administration, has to do in the film Wag the Dog is to distract people from this story about him having sex with a little girl. They have to create on TV a war, but it's completely fake. If you've never seen the film Wag the Dog, you have to watch that film. That's another film mocking our existence and telling us how they just blatantly make up news, no matter how ridiculous and absurd it is. And just watch in that film as they make it up. There's people who are like, are you sure this is going to pass? And one little Jewish guy just so confident, oh yeah, it's going to, nobody's going to question anything. And that's the way it is in this world. And the same thing's done every day, just ridiculous stories. Tad Cummins, Dylan Stormroof, Stevie Steve, Osama bin Laden. The whole thing's a joke. Cash, one-bed motel rooms, Cialis refills. We got the sister of the guy who runs the private military as the head of education now. Isn't that great? All these stories. Even Aaron Hernandez. There's lie after lie. All we get in the mainstream are lies. All right, Truth Seeker. Until next time.